The financial system and the banking system doesn't give a damn about the backdrop to the circumstances that led to your decisions or your behaviors. All they care about is outcomes, which is why what we're covering in this video, credit reports versus consumer reports, what each of them are, and how they're impacting your ability to access financial resources and other aspects of our financial system is so important. Because at the end of the day, this data is determining whether or not you even have a shot before you walk in the door good at what you can access. And you need to know what's being reported on you, who's furnishing that data, and how banks and financial institutions are assessing that data, again, before they can learn anything about the backdrop of your life. So envision yourself walking into a financial institution. You've had weeks, months, and potentially years of planning for the next financial move you're intending to make. You go into that financial institution, you could be looking to open a bank account to help, better your budgeting, or maybe you're looking to open a bank account with a family member. Maybe you're looking to buy a car. Or maybe you're at one of those larger purchase points in your life where you're looking to buy a home or maybe even get capital to invest in your business. You go into that financial institution, let them know what you're there for, get paired with a banker. Before you can sit down, give them your identification and tell them your whole name and how the weather is outside real good, they're already handing you a paper telling you that they can no longer work with you or they can't assist you any further. You're sitting there scratching your head trying to figure out, well, damn, you don't even know my last name good. And you're already telling me that you can't assist me or that I don't qualify for what I came in for. This is what the credit system and the consumer data reporter system basically comes down to. Before you can get into an interaction good, give some backdrop and context to who you are, a little bit of insight on your character. At the end of the day, the data that has been collected on you in the past tense will determine your future. So this video has been inspired by another fellow creator who we've been mutually supporting each other for a while. Those of you who follow the channel may already be familiar with Autumn from Rich Auntie status, the mythical goddess with no debt and over $1 million in net worth. She was the one that came to me and requested that I cover this video and cover this topic in this video rather on consumer reports and credit reports and consumer reports in particular, because most of us are familiar with credit reports as it is. But many of us aren't as familiar with consumer reports, the difference in consumer reports, what's being reported, and how it's affecting our ability to move through our lives financially and overall. So I wanted to just give credit to her. I'm going to link her channel down below. She does a great job of covering financial content, more centered around consistent behaviors and tracking budgeting and spending on her journey to be debt-free and get over $1 million in net worth and reach that mythical Rich Auntie status. So wanted to give credit to her in the description below so we can dive into this content. For those of you who may be new, I'm JP from Blueprint for Prosperity Network. I'm the founder and architect of this channel. I have 13 plus years in financial services, 11 plus years in consumer banking and small business banking. I have an active mortgage license. My NMLS is 771386. I have an active state life insurance license, FINRA investment certified license as well. So that means anything with investments, my Series 6, my SIE, etc. Small business certified, etc. I've all over financial services for quite some time. So you're getting this information from somebody who's not only operating their own businesses and making their own investments and working in this world just like you are, but also somebody who has over a decade of licensed, certified experience, education, and understanding around the financial and banking system. All of that fluff out of the way. Let's dive into what consumer reports are, and then we're going to go from there. A consumer report is a document containing information about an individual's background, often used by businesses to make decisions about credit, insurance, employment, and other purposes. This information can include credit history, criminal records, employment history, and other details. We'll get into that in a minute. Consumer reporting agencies collect and compile this data. So what's included? Credit history, information about person's creditworthiness, including payment history, outstanding debts, and credit utilization. Criminal records, publicly available information about arrest, convictions, and pending cases. Public records, including information like bankruptcies, lawsuits, and judgments. Employment history, previous and current employers, dates of employment, and job titles. And lastly, interestingly enough, other details may also include personal characteristics, general reputation, and mode of living. Okay? How it's used, credit decisions. Lenders use consumer reports to assess the risk of lending money. Employment decisions. Employers use consumer reports as background checks to screen potential hires. Insurance decisions. Insurers use consumer reports to evaluate the risk of insuring individuals. Other decisions may be used for other purposes authorized under the FCRA, Federal Credit Reporting Act. Consumer reporting agencies, companies like Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion collect data and provide consumer reports. These agencies are regulated again by the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So it's like Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. That does not mean they're the only ones collecting and furnishing this data or providing this data. All right, so the FCRA protects consumers by requiring consent before a consumer report is obtained and by providing mechanisms to address inaccuracies. Employers and other users of consumer reports must have permissible purpose for obtaining them. Consumers have the right to access their consumer report and dispute inaccuracies. So, more importantly, for some of you, what's the difference between a credit report and a consumer report? You probably picked up a little context already on what I've already gone over, but I want to give you some official context. And then, as always in these videos, we're going to dive into a little bit more one-to-one dialogue about what this all means for you in the financial system and your ability to access capital, to bank effectively, and so on and so forth. A credit report and a consumer report are related, but not the same. A credit report is a specific type of consumer report that focuses on financial history and creditworthiness. Consumer report is a broader term that can include a variety of information about individual and including their credit history, criminal history, employment history, and more. So the credit report is more of a derivative of the consumer report. It's not the comprehensive nature of a consumer report. So here's a more detailed breakdown. Credit report primarily focuses on the credit history such as loan payment history, outstanding debts, credit card usage. It's used by lenders to assess your creditworthiness by insurance companies, employers, and landlords. Consumer report, a broader term that can encompass various types of information about an individual, including credit history, criminal history, employment history, even information about their character and reputation. I wonder where that comes from. That's interesting. Key differences: scope. Credit reports focus specifically on financial history, while consumer report is broader and can include other information. Purpose: credit report can primarily be used by lenders, while consumer reports can be used by various entities. Information: a credit report primarily contains information about credit history, while a consumer report can include a wide range of information, including non-credit related data. In essence, a credit report is a subset of a consumer report, and both are subject to rules by the FCRA. Cool. How do banks utilize this information? As I gave the example earlier, banks utilize consumer reports, including credit reports, and banking history reports to assess risks that may make a difference about lending, opening accounts, and fraud prevention. These reports can help banks determine a consumer's creditworthiness, payment history, and potential financial risk. So, creditworthiness assessment. Banks rely on credit reports from agencies like Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian to evaluate a consumer's credit history and credit score. Opening accounts, account opening decisions, fraud prevention, permissible purposes, importance of checking credit reports. This is what we need to be talking about, right? So basically, as you can see, as much data as they can gather on you from as many sources as they legitimately can, they're gathering a ton of information about us that is outcome dependent data. So that basically means if you have some really violent cueing story about why you didn't pay debts back, why you have a criminal record, why your employment record might be choppy, whatever the case may be, none of that is really going to be relevant because these financial institutions are working at scale, meaning that they need to have some kind of quick, easy way to discern whether they're going to do business with you or not. And this data, the outcomes of your life, is what's used to determine whether they're going to deal with you on the most basic level, like opening a bank account. Imagine getting rejected for trying to give a financial institution your money. They do it all the time. And that also includes creditworthiness, and it branches out into fraud prevention, etc. So that basically means that you have a job, a duty to be conscientious of the information being furnished about you, staying on top of it, making sure that it's accurate and that it paints the correct and appropriate picture of you so you can continue to have the best level of access to the financial system and the overall economic system as a whole. You can be denied for employment, insurance, banking needs, and other things, including housing, based on this data. That's essentially all of our essentials to survive. The only thing they're not stopping you from is going to the grocery store. And for all we know, that might be coming next. You have to be very, very conscious about what information is being reported about you and the story is telling, because once that data is pulled and assessed, and again, in an era right now where algorithms and computers are taking this type of data assessment and risk assessment over, and there's not even humans being, there to the humans are secondary options in many institutions nowadays, assessing this data to try to at least take a look and get some context and say, okay, maybe we can get some additional documentation or take a deeper look. Algorithms and computer systems are just flat out saying, no, you don't meet this fixed box and criteria that we have. We're not trying to get the backdrop to the story. The answer is no, we don't want to deal with you. So you need to be checking your credit report and digging into consumer reports consistently. And you need to be doing it more than the financial system and economic system if banks are doing on your behalf or based on whenever you're going to them trying to do business, meaning that you need to be checking this stuff on anywhere from the weekly to monthly basis. And it's become really easy to do so. Most banks have offered credit reporting information and some consumer reporting information as value adds in your apps and on your online logins. So you can check a good bit of this information just by logging into your bank accounts with some of the more prominent financial institutions that you're banking with. You need to be doing this frequently. They're also going to help you with identity monitoring on those various apps. Chase has one, Capital One has one, Discover, American Express, and the list goes on. All of these financial institutions, Navy Federal, are offering this type of information. Your consumer report, as you can see, amongst many other collectors of this data, the major bureaus are offering it, meaning that it is relatively easy for you to go to them directly or go to an annualcreditreport.com or some other source to try to start getting your consumer reporting data. LexusNexis is like the mothership of this data. They are going to be an institution that is like the overlord of data collection. And so a lot of what Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax and other credit consumer reporting and credit reporting agencies are gathering, a lot of times LexusNexis is like where that information is kept, stored, and like funneled up to first in many cases. So LexusNexis is somewhere that all of us need to be digging into. I have actually not had success getting my LexusNexis report because they do a pretty vigorous verification process for you to even access it. And I haven't been able to get into it and take my time to dig into what I need to do to qualify to get through that verification. So I'll be the first to admit I haven't even had success getting my own LexusNexis report. But I want to put that out there as for you, those of you who may be new to this or are not as familiar, where this data is being kept and, the various agencies that you're not hearing promoted, because LexusNexis is not talked about, but they are larger and collecting more data than even the credit reporting agencies that we're all very familiar with. So if you're looking to advance financially, if you're looking to invest in real estate, own a home, manage bank accounts, grow your access to capital for a small business, whatever your focus point, including investing in the stock market, by the way, most credible brokers and brokerages that are allowing you to participate in the stock market are doing these same credit and consumer checks, by the way. I just want you to know in case you weren't aware of that. Whatever ambitions you have around investing in financial advancement and just access to the general financial system, as you can see in what I've gone over, you have to be monitoring and managing the data that's being reported on you, because you can get shut all the way out, believe it or not. If you're not careful, you can get shut all the way out. There are, these underlying sub-based lenders and financial institutions that will continue to do business with you. There's a marketplace for everything. So for those of you who can't access regular, traditional, brick and mortar financial institutions and, get access to capital in those ways, there's institutions out there that will still lend you money. But as many of us know, you think about payday loans and things of that nature, your net spends. These institutions aren't the best place to do things. Like, they're expensive, the borrowing costs are expensive, the fees are ridiculous. You don't have a lot of control. You don't have the same level of access. I'm not trying to knock anybody who's at that point, because believe it or not, I've been at that point where I literally couldn't even qualify for a bank account. Imagine that for somebody who's been in financial services most of their working career. I hit a point in my life the violin cueing backstory to where I hit rock bottom and could not qualify for a bank account or any type of other standard financial tools or resources. So I've had the neck spins. I've, done something close to payday loans before to try to survive. So I understand that, but I'm telling you right now, somebody who also pulled themselves from that point of defaulting on nearly everything, paid all of that stuff off, shook back and gotten to the point where I'm at a prime borrowing capacity, can bank anywhere I want to, access any investment tools as far as, brokerages or get access to real estate loans, small business loans. All of these things are available to me. I'm telling you, as somebody who's clawed from these things. I didn't have inheritance. I didn't run into settlement money, etc. I did it all off my back. I'm telling you, you have to be very diligent about monitoring the information that's being put out there, because it is painting a narrative. It is painting a story that you yourself will not get to tell. They're going to pull these reports, and before you can let your cheeks warm that seat up in that financial institution, they're going to be walking your ass right out of the door, because that narrative is already being drawn up on paper, and they don't want to hear you try to talk them out of it. They don't have time for it because they're playing a numbers game. This is the fastest and most effective way for them to assess risk and assess those who are going to be advantageous and profitable for their business. So I want you to keep this in mind. Autumn, if you caught this all the way to the end of this video, thank you for bringing this to my attention and bringing it up as a topic on this channel. Very valuable information. It seems basic, but as you can see, this gets really deep. So hopefully more of you are more insightful about the information being collected on you, where it's being housed at, and how it's being used to affect who's doing business with you and at what level. Comment down below and let me know if you've ever been rejected for access to financial resources through a bank, lending, insurance, employment, due to your credit or consumer reporting information. Let me know, have you ever analyzed an adverse action letter before, which is something that has to come out based on the FCRE's requirements when you are denied for bank accounts and denied for lending products. Let me know if you've ever experienced that, the information that was provided. Let me know what that was like for you. And let me know what you've learned. Let me know if this is new for you. Let me know if this is something that is kind of newer to you. You didn't know this much data was being collected. Let me know how often you check on this information for yourself. Comment these things down below. To all my pioneers, welcome back. To my new viewers, welcome in. I want you to drop in the description down below. Check out Autumn's channel and also check out my Instagram links. They're down below. For those of you who are curious about working with me one-to-one, believe it or not, there have been links down below for quite some time. If you're interested in working with me one-to-one to maximize your borrowing capacity, to master relationship banking so you can get into real estate investing, so you can get into effective stock market investing, business ownership, access to capital for your business. These are things that I specialize in if you haven't picked up on it yet. Get in the description down below. There's ways to access me where I'll work with you one-to-one on a free level, and I'll work with you one-to-one on a paid level, depending on the level of assistance and guidance you're looking for. Other than that, I want you to support the channel by commenting, sharing, subscribing. Other ways to support the channel are down on the channel, task board down below. Continue to support this channel so this channel can continue to support and reinvest back into you. Other than that, I want each and every one of you to stay focused, stay in motion. I'll see y'all soon.